And now with more, here's Harry.
Thanks, Julie. As we can see just from this morning's news, the pressure is intensifying on all sides as the U.S. moves towards possible action against Iraq. Former National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzenzinski has been on the inside during times of intense international crisis. He joins us this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Your old boss, Jimmy Carter, wrote an op-ed piece in the New York Times yesterday, and he talked about in order for a war with Iraq to be a just war, all nonviolent options must be exhausted. Have they been exhausted yet?
I don't think so. I think we are making progress. I think inspections are achieving some results. And besides that, the international community is seized with the issue, and I think Iraq will have to disarm. But setting a deadline of next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, and accompanying it with very vague, generalized demands, which it will be easy for us to denounce as not having been met, is not the way to do it. I think we have to stop and ask ourselves, what are the likely consequences of a war initiated largely by the United States and outside the UN framework? And let me just say very quickly, the world will see it as a war of aggression. American moral as well as political leadership worldwide will be undermined, and the United States will become the focal point of global hatred, increasingly the target of terrorism. So I think some caution, some prudence, but also persistence are needed here.
You still have close ties with people who are involved in this process in the administration. Do you see any possibility of, well, there's been compromises floated from Britain, from Mexico, from Canada, of maybe a 2 or 3 week window with solid guidelines put in place, and if those aren't met, then a requirement of war? Anything like that possible?
Well, I'm smiling because you have literally taken the words out of my mouth. What you're saying is very sensible, and more people are saying that. The resolution we're putting on the table is vague, generalized, and structured in such a way as to make it impossible for Iraq, in fact, to satisfy it. But if we had targets, as you say, geared to specific issues, anthrax, VX, mustard gas, whatever else, with deadlines for satisfying specific demands, I think the international community would support us. I think there's going to be more pressure in that direction. The British have already signaled explicitly that if Saddam accommodates, he can stay in power. I think we'll have to make our position clearer. But if we buy such a formula, I think we'll have the unanimity we need, the legitimacy we need, and we'll have the basis for forcing him genuinely to disarm.
Why do you think the administration has not been able to make its case to many in the international community and to a substantial number of Americans?
I think for a combination of reasons. For much of the time, the president has used very strident, almost demagogic language, and taking the position, if you're not with us, you are therefore against us. In effect, telling our allies just to line up and follow us. Secondly, I think some of the evidence we have used is, to put it mildly, strained and dubious. Thirdly, I think it's quite evident to the world that Iraq is not as much of a problem as North Korea, or potentially in the long run, even Iran. And there is a sense of disproportion between us, the world's #1 superpower, claiming all the time that Iraq, a country of 22 million people, and impoverished to boot, is such an immediate menace. All of that, I think, has undermined our case. And last but not least, we have given the impression that we are really not interested in disarmament, that our real interest is to use the UN to force Saddam Hussein out of power.
Which begs the next question. Last week, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said that our job in Iraq was to disarm the country, and the president insists that it's regime change. We have about 30 seconds left. When is it the United States' job to be a global policeman and enforce regime change?
I don't think it is at all. But we are the #1 power. We have to lead. But our leadership depends also on it being viewed as legitimate. And we have to mobilize people on behalf of shared principles. And this is where we have really fallen down.
Zbigniew Brzenzinski, we thank you so much for your time this morning.
Good to talk to you.
All right. Now here's Renee.